Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Again, Tony here with Shinsho Yoga. And this week I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about a little bit of background of Vinyasa and what it is and why it's important. Um, I teach a Hatha Vinyasa and I firmly believe in the practice, and there are reasons for it. There are things that you do in a Vinyasa that are significantly healthy for you, especially as time goes on as we age, that you won't get in other practices. Versions of vinyasas, right? Different styles, yes, you'll see them, but certain types of yoga that you see, you won't, right? So I wanted to give a little background on what the vinyasa is, what it's designed to do, and what the benefits for you, and why it's important to challenge yourself and have a class that's challenging. And even if it is not something that you go to on a regular basis, at least that you're pushing yourself to do. So the vinyasa, and I've probably talked about this in some of the other videos regarding yoga history, was created by a man by the name of Krishnamacharya. And Krishnamacharya lived in India in the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is coming to the end of the British rule, the end of the colonization. This is at the time when India is looking for its independence from Britain. Their practices, all their cultural practice when the British came in had been forbidden, as most colonizers did, and the majority of their texts burned. So yoga fell off to the wayside, especially physical practices of it, because now it was the British Christian way you did things, no heathen practices and things like that. Krishnamacharya, during this resurgence of Indian independence, wanted to be able to bring yoga back, and he found one Hatha text with postures in it. Hatha was the primary school of yoga in India prior to the British colonization. So by the 1600s, it was the largest primary school of yoga throughout India. So Krishnamacharya had no direction on what else to do, just a book of postures. So what he decided to do was link them together in a flow. That's what vinyasa means, right? As a way to invigorate the body. Right? And he went around India and went around teaching his practice, right? And he had very famous students from that, like one being B.K.S. Iyengar. He's, an Iyengar yoga is another style of yoga, a very famous style, right? You have the Ashtanga method. One of of course, his students created that. There's lots of different styles that came off of Krishnamacharya's vinyasa. And in this day and age, you'll go to different studios and have different classes offered, and they'll say vinyasa this or the name it this. I've talked about that in other videos about the marketing naming in this, especially in the West, of yoga classes. But if you're teaching a vinyasa in the vein of Krishnamacharya, right? And again, in my opinion, this is all the tradition of yoga, because Krishnamacharya was trying to bring back what had gone away, and he did the best he could with it and then handed it down. And that's how I try to teach, is try to keep it in that vein, because I think he had the right idea. I don't think this was a grand experiment. And there's three things that you look to do in a vinyasa. One is increase flexibility. Throughout all of yoga, physical practice of yoga, we look to increase our flexibility. Two is to increase circulation. That's where that flow comes from, right? That's where that moving comes from, one to the posture to the next. We want to build up that circulation, get the blood moving throughout the body, build that heat, get the heart working. And three is increase strength. And we have a lot of postures that do that. Like one of the most challenging I see for most people in my classes is Chaturanga Dandasana, or four-limb staff pose, which is not a push-up, by the way. It's a low plank. Those three things are really what you need to be offering a proper vinyasa. You have to increase flexibility. The flow has to work to increase flexibility, increase the circulation, and build strength. Now, you can focus on any one of those in a class, if you're a teacher, right? I often vary I try to vary week to week. So some weeks I'm focusing on body parts to work, really focusing on flexibility. Others week I may focus on building strength, like this morning's class I was teaching, working on core, building core strength, because it's very important for your health to keep your spine healthy. Or other times I'm going to be working on what I call movement-based classes, where we're really looking to increase the circulation, where we're moving through the process. And there are certain vinyasas that focus just on those things. Jiva Mukti, excuse me, Jiva Mukti style of yoga, very much focused on movement, right? Going through one to the next, really getting the heart up, really getting the blood moving. But it's really the balance of those three. And in a class, they can do any level of them or balance them all or focus on one or the other. But you need to be doing all three, right? Not only to be doing a vinyasa to invigorate the body, but for our health. The vinyasa is extremely healthy for you for those reasons, especially for those of us that are getting older. As we age, certain things happen. Our flexibility decreases, our strength decreases, and if we're not regularly exercising and keeping the heart healthy, the arteries can start to harden and our circulation decreases. This is why you see yogis that have such long lives who practice, because this practice does these types of things. And you need to do that to maintain your health. You need to maintain a certain level of strength. You need to maintain a certain level of flexibility. You need to maintain a certain level of circulation to keep your body healthy. And injuries arise when we have problems in those areas. Recently, I had, in the past week, some bad injuries to my knee. Not that it was anything phenomenal to report. It's a stupid story. I was cleaning the floor in my house, cleaning the kitchen and the bathroom floor. And when I stood up, I twisted something and ended up with big swollen knees and legs I couldn't straighten, and I had to go to my acupuncturist to get the fluid drained, and I've been wearing braces, compression braces, until they heal, and my muscles are still tight in the back of my legs now, right? But that was a signal to me as I'm getting older. The muscles in my legs aren't as strong as they used to be. So I need to do something about that. Right? Now, I will do things besides yoga. I will go to the gym and actually focus on building some muscle here, not for bodybuilding purposes, but to maintain strength and maintain health. But we want to make sure that we have those combinations in our practice, that increasing the circulation, in building strength, increasing the flexibility to maintain our health. And this comes into when you look for yoga classes and what you have in your yoga practice. I often can be somewhat critical of gentle yoga classes, not for the reason that there's anything inherently wrong with a gentle yoga class. It's just that people will end up relying on them to be their main physical practice. And unfortunately, in doing that, they're slowing the process of the aging, but only a very small amount. They're not taking the full advantage of what they do, of yoga can do for them. And they're somewhat a lot of times fooling themselves into believing that what they're doing is, okay, well, I'm doing yoga. Yes, you're doing a type of yoga. But we have to do lots of yoga, lots of different types, right? I'm a big proponent of having a heating and a cooling practice, meaning having a heating practice like a vinyasa and a cooling practice like yin yoga. The two, to me, are a great complement, right? So you do, let's say if you do 2 vinyasa classes a week and a yin class a week, right? That would be an optimal schedule to me. I used to do that before I was a teacher, and I spent all my time teaching. When I was just a student and practicing, I used to try to do 2 vinyasas a week and a yin, if not at least 1 vinyasa and 1 yin. And it was a good balance, 1 heating, 1 cooling. But this is not for me to judge on any person. This is something for you to decide, right? In your practice, what level is best for you? A gentle class is good for those who are brand new to yoga and want to just try it, because if you've never done it before, to run through a vigorous vinyasa is probably not the right choice, right? You're not going to be prepared for it, and you're going to do things wrong, and you might hurt yourself, right? Best in that case to go to a beginner series. Or For people that have been injured and they're coming off an injury, a gentle class is good to start back into their practice. Or for those who are elderly and are looking to get into yoga and they start taking yoga and they want to just get into it now, or they've started doing some exercising and now they want to add yoga and they start adding a gentle practice. But to really get the full benefit of it, to really protect our health, to really extend our life, to live life on a square, so we have life that goes like this and then it ends versus just a downward slope as we get older, we have to have that combination of strength, flexibility, and circulation. And that's what a good vinyasa will offer you. So, just wanted to share with you my thoughts around vinyasa today, why it's important and why I think if you don't have it in your practice, you should add it and just find a teacher that works for you. So, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate your time. As always, breathe and follow your breath. As the thoughts arise, acknowledge them, allow them to pass by, and return to the breath. Namaste.